Good morning and happy Sabbath, everyone. We are having our health alert today about arthritis. We want to stop arthritis, and I want to tell you how. So let's do that. Okay, so arthritis affects, there are actually hundreds of types of arthritis conditions, and there are two major categories, though. Ones that affect the bone, cartilage. The cartilage starts rubbing and wearing off. And the other one is when the healthy tissue gets attacked by itself and destroys itself. Okay, so arthritis is an inflammation of the joints. Inflammation of the joints causing the joints that connect to each other to become painful and deformed. Okay, they become painful and deformed. So inflammation is arth would be the joint, and itis, any itis is inflammation, okay? Swelling, inflammation, causing stiffness and tenderness and swelling and redness in some cases, okay? All right, so as we age, it's likely that we're gonna suffer from some joint issues if you have not taken care of your joints, if you have not done the things that need to be done to avoid joint stiffness and pain, okay? So currently, there are about 54 million people who suffer from any type of arthritic issues, and there are also other conditions that cause joints to become inflamed, like lupus and others, okay? So by 2040, that number is going to rise to 78 million people, okay, affected by some kind of joint issue. Okay. So there are other things that happen. So as a result of us just being sick, having inflammation all over our bodies, there are conditions that will make us have other conditions. For example, arthritis seems to go with hypertension. Arthritis also seems to go with not only hypertension, but diabetes. They all kind of run together because they have some of the same issues. Okay, so if you have one and you don't make a concerted effort to stop, the others will also come about, okay? So reaching the age of 50, over 50, having high inflammatory markers in your blood, and you can check that with the doctor. The doctor may not mention it, so you read it and you look for those inflammatory markers if you want to see me what they are. I didn't write them down here, but you can certainly keep an eye on those and ask the doctor, okay? You want to talk to the doctor about it, okay? If you have high cholesterol, high LDL, low HDL, okay, those are some things you want to look at, and high triglycerides, that will put you in the place where hypertension and diabetes may go along with arthritis, okay? If you don't exercise, you have kind of a sedentary lifestyle, that will also be a risk factor and a precursor to diabetes and hypertension along with arthritis, okay? If you're eating ultra-processed foods, okay, with many ingredients, chemicals, additives, oils, preservatives, and that will be the thing that will probably take you over the top in terms of having those conditions along with arthritis, okay? Okay, so what is the big deal? There are some oils, they're called seed oils, and I'm not sure I agree with all of the ones I put here are the ones I agree with. The other ones I don't sure I agree with. But what they're saying is that because certain oils, seed oils, like cottonseed oil, soybean oil, which is not a seed, safflower oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, we've been using for years, canola oil, which is all called rapeseed oil, and peanut oil. When they are processed, they are causing us to have some major problems. Linolenic acid is one of those things that is produced from these seed oils. And what happens is that there is a high level of omega-6. You've heard of omega-3. There's omega-6, which comes from these oils. And when they are out of sync, when the ratios are wrong, meaning the high omega-6 and low omega-3, and it should be kind of 3 to 1, 2 to 3 to 1, instead of it's like 50 to 1. And that's what's causing us to become overweight. It's causing us to have problems with our ability to detox, our ability to take on the minerals and vitamins from our foods, because it's blocking. They're blocking and causing us to have these other problems, okay? So it's really important to pay attention to your labels. Pay attention to your labels, because it doesn't say omega-6, but by sheer fact that these oils are showing up in your foods, they're causing this omega-6 to be present in your food. Okay, so foods with seed oils are basically processed foods because they're so inexpensive to produce. And it's causing us to have this accumulation, along with all the chemicals that we're taking in. It's accumulating, and it may not show up right now, but it will show up. It will show up in arthritis. It will show up in hypertension and diabetes, okay? So if you're feeling anything now, there's good news. You can actually find a way to get rid of them, okay? So again, weight gain, causing obesity, cardiovascular disease, and type 2 diabetes all result from seed oils, okay? So if you see cottonseed oil, take a step back. So do I really need this? I may not feel it now, but it will show up, okay? Okay, so on highly processed foods, ultra-processed foods that have these seed oils in them look very different than the unprocessed foods. What's the difference? Almost no green. Everything's kind of beige, right? Everything is processed, made from something else, causing these problems, okay? So the more fresh foods and vegetables that you eat, the less likely that you are gonna have exposure to ultra-processed foods, okay? All right, so unprocessed foods, minimally processed foods, like vegetables, fruits, nuts, and grains. Some meat, of course. Of course, we kind of question that because we have to look at how meat is processed now. So I would say take a step back from that too, okay? All right, then there's processed culinary foods, things like spices and salt and things have to go through a machine. They go through a process to get to us so that we can use them, okay? Then there are processed foods, things in a bottle, box, can, bag. All these things do have an effect on us, and minimally, and of course, not minimally, but they do have an effect because they all probably have these seed oils in them, okay? And then the ultra-processed foods, the stuff we love to love, right? Yeah. So all of those have those chemicals, whether it be our cosmetics, whether it be food, things added to our foods, those oils, the chemicals, the dyes. Red 40 is a dye that is causing problems. You want to be sure that you look at that NOVA food classification. That's how they classify foods that are processed, okay? All right, so we want to avoid using those oils, cottonseed oil, corn oil, peanut oil. All of them have these omega-6 acids, fatty acids that are much too high, and the omega-3 are much too low, to no effect. I'll have to take questions. So the oils that we can use are olive oil, okay? Monosaturated fats with antioxidants, cold press. That means it's minimally processed, okay? It's not heated up before it gets to you. It's cold processed. It means they use the least amount of effort to get the oil out of the olive, okay? And the coconut oil, plant-based, a saturated fat that's actually good for you, okay? You're talking about lauric acid, antimicrobial, and medium-chain triglycerides, MCT, you've heard of that. MCT, very good for your brain, for people who are losing some of their memory, okay? Very good for feeding that. of course, when you're having that, you have to also get rid of the highly ultra-processed foods, okay? All right, so how do you continue to get rid of these things? So we talked about the MCT oils. We talked about having some of the, I'll go back a couple seconds. So moderate daily use of the consumption. So as you start to pull back, you want to not have some of these foods in your body anymore, okay? And as we also try to minimize that, we start moving towards having the right kinds of foods and the right kinds of habits that will get rid of these things, okay? So you want to, if you are having arthritis, don't sit back and say, oh, my pain. Move through that pain, okay? I'm going to tell you how to move through that pain. So you want to move through that pain. Don't make the mistake of sitting down and saying, my arthritis is bothering you. The more you move, the better it is, okay? And so lack of movement actually worsens the joint mobility. So you want to do more. Be intentional about the movement. Walk. If you can't do anything, walk, okay? Take a few more extra steps every day. If it takes you a year to get to an hour, do it. Okay, you want to cycle. Some people will cycle if it's a mobile bike, and what is it called? Those, like a cycle, stationary. Thank you, stationary bicycle. Sorry, or if you're just stretching. Okay, you want to do that as much as possible, and then drinking water. You would not believe how many people actually have arthritis, and the problem is just drinking water. So let me tell you why. Because you drink water, and it goes to the essential parts of your body, the vital organs, your heart, your brain, your lungs. And if you aren't drinking enough water, they stay there. But if you drink enough water, they actually go to your joints, okay? So you need to drink enough water. Half your body weight in ounces will allow those cells to get hydrated again, okay? So drink water and make sure that the issue that you're having is not just a hydration issue, okay, as well as highly processed food. So you want to do that as much as possible. So when you drink enough water, your kidneys get flushed, your liver gets flushed, your organs get enough water, everybody gets enough water, okay, and everything gets enough water. Inadequate leads to pain. Okay, all right. So how else can you use water with arthritis? A warm bath. A warm bath will actually bring circulation to those areas of the body, okay? So arthritis can be helped by just doing a soak, maybe once or twice a week with a little bit of Epsom salts, improve that circulation. And it can be followed by having a poultice or a wrap around those joints, okay? Using castor oil and frankincense. Frankincense actually does help with pain. So you want to do as much as you can with frankincense and castor oil, which will soak down through your skin, through your muscle, through the bone, and will help the bone, okay? And give you some relief. And if you want to do it throughout the day, you can do that. The goal is to do it at least 6 to 8 hours a day. Okay, and as much as you feel the pain, you can do it as much as you can stand having those things wrapped around your fingers, your wrists, your joints of any kind. If it's an acute pain, you can actually use ginger for joints. Ginger for joints. This is the things that we've been learning in our medical missionary class and our herbal classes. So you're missing it, but I'm giving it to you some of it here. Okay, so for acute pain, you can use ginger. Apply it to some cloth, wrap your joint for an hour only, okay? Because it does burn. It does burn. Feels like it's burning, but it can actually cause some damage to the skin, so you want to wrap for an hour maximum. Okay, so something else to help arthritis is to avoid meat, sugar, and dairy. Meat, sugar, and dairy. And the reason for that is as we consume sugar that's not in fruits, vegetables, nuts, and grains, then that sugar is actually destroying what we're trying to fix, okay? So you want to stay away from meat, sugar, and dairy if you're trying to stop the inflammation, okay? And the goal is to stop the inflammation because inflammation causes the pain, okay? So you want to do that for stopping arthritis, okay? And you want to eat at least one of these a day. I know somebody who eats an avocado every single day. She buys bags and bags of avocado, and so she'll eat avocado. Anyway, so you want to have as many intentional omega-3 acids as possible. Again, the omega-3 acids are found in flaxseed, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. Okay, you don't want to overdo it, but you do want to have at least one of those a day. And you want to drink things like sorrel. And you can sweeten it not with sugar, but with pineapple juice. Okay, gives you that bromelain as well. And you want to do it on an empty stomach, just a shot, okay, every morning, and that will help with the arthritis. Why? Because it's full of antioxidant, because it's full of bromelain, okay, and it will help reduce some of that pain. All right, as well as ginger beer for the Jamaicans out there, okay. Again, sweeten it with honey or with pineapple juice, okay, if you don't want to use sugar. And I prefer that you don't use sugar because that causes inflammation. All right, and the tea of choice would be cat's claw tea. Okay, very powerful in reducing pain overall. Okay, so thank you very much for that. I just want to remind you that our annual seed and plant swap takes place in 2 weeks. Okay, and we'll be exchanging seeds and plants and sharing information, and that's at 2 o'clock. Please RSVP with the QR code. That's how you're going to get the address, okay? You must register. It is free, but you must register, okay? And lastly, I want to mention that we are going to be taking health up a notch. We're going to be having a community health fair. We're encouraging those who have their own products, okay, natural products, to be at this health fair. And it will be at Wellspring Manor and Spa, not at the church's location. We are trying to make sure that the community gets this, okay? And so we're encouraging you to bring your wares, register. There is an approval process for getting into the health fair, so come with your best and be involved in coming to this community health fair. And that will be June 29th. June 29th, 2025, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., okay? Thank you very much for your attention. Happy Sabbath, and make sure you don't do anything bad to your joints, okay? Amen.